Alright, hey there guys, today we're going to be doing something quite different. We're going to be playing the rival to Dark and Darker, the current only real one, that being Dungeonborn. I haven't really played much of this game. I played one game just to see whether the recording for it would work, how my FPS was looking and stuff. Looking okay, performance looks worse than Dark and Darker so far, but it's very early. This currently is part of a playtest. I think it's lasting until about the 14th of February. I'm not exactly sure, but you can check. This is actually available on Steam, so that's quite nice. Let's go ahead and get into a game and see if you think this is something that would be worth playing. Today, there are multiple classes, Pyromancer, Cryomancer, Death Knight, Fighter, and a few others. There's also Priest, Rogue, and Swordmaster, which is a bit unusual. The interesting part is Death Knight and Cryomancer are both actually undead and cannot be healed by holy magic and must collect the souls of living creatures through killing blows to restore their energy. So it's quite an interesting little thing. You also have two skills for each class. You don't really have much of a choice between them on the classes. The passive skills are a bit deceptive, and you unlock these by getting like certain amounts of stats, certain stack breakpoints. So we'll see if we get any today. We're going to start as the fighter. That's going to be the first game that we play, just to go through, like, you know, the more default class. Let's go ahead. You can queue, of course, in solos or normals. There's easy and hard. Right now, can't do hard. You actually need an item, which says it can be contained from the merchant. Not sure about that at all yet. So anyway, let's just head in. There's also arena already, TDM, 3v3 battles, and some, like, other testing things here. But let's go ahead and get into a solo game and see how it feels. Okay. Hey there guys, welcome into the game. So, first thing that I noticed to me is this, it looks very different from Dark and Darker, even though it looks dark. It's obviously much more open here. We actually have like a very open area. It looks huge. The scale is, at least looks much bigger. I'm not sure 100%. Looting and things work pretty much exactly the same as Dark and Darker. You press F and you wait for it to open. Nice thing is it actually does tell you the sell value of these things, so we're just going to go ahead and take those. We can compare easily to see the difference between these. So we get, looks like a little bit extra damage percentage and +1 weapon damage. Not sure how this works, because of course they both say 122 physical damage, so that must be like the base or something, and then the other things are like an addition to that. So as the fighter, by default, we start with a longsword, a sword and a shield, whatever sword we just dropped, and also a longsword. Now, the longsword, I'm not sure if this is kind of parrying or something with the right click. This game is very similar to Dark and Darker, so it probably is a parry on the longsword on the right click, although it does look obviously quite a bit different, the animation. Let's go ahead down, fight our first mobs. So, the combat feels kind of slower than Dark and Darker. At least the block animation feels very, very slow. The actual attacks don't feel that bad, though. It does feel quite, like, meaty. The audio does not sound great. At least I don't think so. Let's go ahead and loot this thing. So, there's a kill feed in the top right, so it looks like someone's already died. Someone died to a goblin sharpshooter. No idea what that is. This is actually exactly where I spawned in the first game I played, so I know a little bit of this area. Not particularly well. We'll take anything that's green or above. Now, the attacks combo, pretty much just like in Dark and Darker, although it's interesting, because of course you can see, with the third hit, we're actually doing a hit with our shield. The mobs feel like much, much slower, and it... Oh, okay, we've got a rogue on us. Okay, so we're dead. So, okay, someone spawned very close to us immediately. Not exactly sure how much damage we did. Let's see if we can find them. So I guess the spawns are quite close. This guy's... Is this even the guy who killed us? No, it's not. Okay, so this is the guy who fought us. So this guy's already being chased, so the spawns must be quite close. But let's go ahead and get into another game. So we gained a little bit of experience. It's weird, you seem to gain stats when you level up. I only played the Pyromancer for my first game. But let's go ahead and change class. Let's switch it up to the Death Knight, see how this feels. Okay, so welcome guys, we are back in. We got the exact same spawn, so that's interesting. playing the Death Knight now, so as you can see, our hands are that of an undead. And this does actually have real gameplay changes, as we can no longer be healed by friendly clerics and things. But apparently I assume we regain health when we kill mobs and stuff. Let's have a quick look at our abilities. On our queue, we have Soul Shroud, summons a ring of unholy power and self, dealing recurring shadow damage to all nearby enemies for the duration. Okay, interesting. And Grasp of the Grave, fires a spectral train at the target, pulling them to your side. Deals a small amount of shadow damage if it hits an enemy. So interesting. I'm going to try these on the mobs below, if I can get out of here. Okay, so we have a longsword, and we also do have a second weapon set where we have a sword and shield more standard. Okay, so I imagine these little things that are coming out when we kill things are the little undead things. How we heal, I should say. So you can pick up like craftable materials. Let's try and make sure we don't get immediately rushed. I'm not sure where the player came from. I imagine it was probably in here. Yeah, okay, see, there's a rogue. Let's try and pull this guy. Okay, that was a miss. Damn, that's a high cooldown. Let's try and use the mob. Okay, so we hit that guy with 2 headshots. We did a lot of damage. So interesting. In the top right, that percentage is our remaining health, probably. That seems about 63%. Interesting. Our Q is actually a toggle, and it looks like it stays up until we decide to turn it off. So that's a better start. So yeah, that spawn seems to be crazy close to the spawn. I'm trying to kill this thing. This thing seems to be like a special kind of mob, because when I kill it, you see in the bottom left, it says +1 to that. I'm not sure why exactly it says that, but I imagine it must do something special. But very dark and darker style combat. So good to know that we do actually heal off these mobs. Interestingly, these mobs possibly could be easier for newer players then to get used to. However, or as you get health back, of course, from every mob that you kill. However, these mobs, these classes, you have to log in. So this game has daily login bonuses, and the second day you get one of them, I can't remember which, and then for the third day you get the other one. And I mean, one of them gives you the Pyromancer, the undead mage, and one of them gives you Death Knight, the undead melee. So, it's interesting. I think it's definitely interesting how they have, like, okay, no, this isn't healing us. This is actually restoring our, like, mana kind of stuff, which we use for our Q, maybe like soul energy or something like that. So that's interesting. That might play out a bit weirdly in a fight. So the first game I played was I was playing the Pyromancer, which you use mana to cast your spells. So it doesn't seem like there was any really easy way to get it back. And I was just gradually running out of it as I was using some of it. However, there are mana potions and things, but I didn't find any in the first game that I played. It looks like you also can buy them from the merchant. However, of course, it was my first game. I didn't really have any money. Ouch. Yeah, as you can see, these things really seem to hurt. And this weapon doesn't feel like it quite has the range that it should do. Do we have any meds available or anything? I don't think we do. So, this says used for making healing potions. However, I don't think we can actually use that or create healing potions in-game. I think that's an out-of-game kind of thing, just like the crafting in Dark and Darker. I would like to try and see if this is like a block and then we can somehow repost or something like that. I'm not really too sure. Oh, one interesting note is you can actually heavy attack in this game. So there is like... Oh, I've never actually seen this enemy before. You can see that. Charge up a heavy attack. Oh, and it looks like it actually lunged us forward there. So let's try it. Go ahead and try and kill this little goblin. Let's try and get a parry off here if we can. Try and bait his attack into the longsword, and let's see if this actually is a parry or how this actually works. And there's something else. Okay, it's a little mob. Not sure if we can parry everything. Now, this game is very, very dark and darker. This was clearly like meant to be a competitor for Dark and Darker. The gameplay, the style, everything about it is very, very similar. The setting might be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, I guess they are... Okay, that dropped the shield there, which is actually not what I meant to do. I meant to keep the shield. The only thing that I will say about this game so far is the atmosphere feels significantly worse. Not from a graphics point of view, but from an audio point of view. Like, if you can hear, there's almost no, like, atmosphere coming from audio at all. There's almost no sound unless we're actually fighting. And I do have music turned down, but I imagine there's just no music at all. I don't have it turned down that much. We should be able to hear a little bit at least. I'm not sure what these things are at all, but maybe some kind of crafting material. Let's make sure we pick up our torch. Let's go ahead and actually keep our torch out for now. Let's see if we can actually destroy these boxes. It appears we can. Do they have any loot or anything in them, though? It honestly doesn't really look like it. So while this game obviously is inspired by Dark and Darker, it doesn't seem to have every Dark and Darker mechanic. However, I can't say for sure. I've played a very little amount, of course. This is first impressions. There will be probably a bunch more people who have actually played quite a lot of this game and can give, you know, better information. I'm just trying to do this video as something that maybe if you see this video and you think you're interested in this, you can check it out yourself. So far, this game does feel pretty fun. I think this game definitely has potential. Right now, from the tiny bit that I've played, I would say that this game does not stand up to Dark and Darker. However, this is like the first early access like playtest, so you know, there's a lot less time that's gone into this than there has been in Dark and Darker. Oh wow, there's a giant rat. Interesting. I haven't seen this mob before. Very possible that we'll die to this, but let's go ahead and try and fight this thing. I want to try and see if I can get this thing to hit me. This thing doesn't seem like it would actually be that hard to fight, so I don't think we have to be that scared about it, as long as, yeah, no, okay, it's very squishy, actually. Well, those would be quite tanky, but no. Incendiary Flask. Okay, so this is like the throwables in Dark and Dark. You can throw this, and it's like, kind of like a firebomb. It leaves like a Molotov kind of thing. Leaves a bunch of fire on the floor that will do AoE damage if anyone's standing within them. It does seem a lot more actiony, I will say. The abilities and things seem like they encourage PvP a little bit more, on the sense of the skills seem much more powerful. Not necessarily damage-wise, but from their effects. So, for example, the Pyromancer, which I was playing in my first game, as I said, has a ridiculously big knockback. So this actually gives us stamina, so let's go ahead and take that. Stamina is actually health in this game. Increases max life, increases physical resistance. And you can see here a little bit how it works. So for every class, you get a special bonus once you reach a certain amount of a specific stat. So for example, when we reach 30 stamina, restores a soul amount of life for each soul essence absorbed, lifesteal. So what is the closest one we actually are to? So we're actually not really close to any of them. It's interesting, we don't seem to get one for faith, but perhaps that's because we're undead, so we can't get healing from those things. So perhaps maybe this actually will be a bit more difficult as a new player until you get access to lifesteal. I apologize for the dogs barking. It seems like the classes have... It's a bit weird, because... Okay, you see that? There's a player back there. I don't think we really want to fight right now. We don't seem to have the health pool. I started with some bandages, although we could try. If we die, it doesn't... Oh, I'm not really sure. Maybe it does matter. Oh, they threw, yep, an incendiary flask at us. I mean, we'll just go ahead and dodge that. That thing moved very, very slowly, so... The extractions work very similarly to Dark and Darker as well. Kind of portals will open up randomly throughout the zone. Okay, there's a mage down there. We want to be careful of the mage. I like our odds better against this melee, probably, rather than against the wizard. However, we do have the... Actually, no. Let's try fight the wizard. We do have the death grip, WoW ability kind of thing. What was it called? Grasp of the Grave. So perhaps we can try and pull them into our melee, or we can just die to a fireball like that. So the thing about the mage is, let's actually go ahead and log into a caster and try and demonstrate that a little bit. So you see here, we actually gained 150 experience. We actually did level up, and you seem to gain stats from leveling up in this game, which is interesting. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but we've gained an extra 3 maximum life, we've gained an extra strength, so I assume we're going to be doing more damage. And I'm not exactly sure what Bounty Hunter means, but we went from 2 to 4. Not sure about that, but let's go ahead and log over to the Pyromancer that I did the first game on. So we're already level 2 on this. Let's go ahead and look in our inventory. We've got a few random pieces. I think most of these are crafting pieces, so let's just go ahead and drop these off. You can use a lot of these things to craft, well, craftables. I'm not exactly sure how, but let's just leave that for now. And interestingly, there are actually gems which you can socket into your items, just like Diablo or something along those lines. Path of Exile. So let's go ahead and get into another game. Of course, you can see here, we actually did manage to make it out of our first game on the Pyromancer. So we've got some upgrades. We've got a lightning staff, which is not the default you start with. We've got a green traveling sword, which I got from killing like a little kind of mini boss kind of mob by the look of it. We've got full jewelry. Obviously this gear is probably very terrible. It's, you know, white and grey. I assume it's very similar to Dark and Darker, where there's a nearly base kit items. Green might be okay. And we've got a few consumables, a few meds, a few potions, things like that. Let's go ahead and get into game. Okay, hey there guys. Completely forgot. We're already in game. So things to note. The staff has charge. So you see under our health bar we have a mana bar. And oh, okay. Careful with the bats. Aside from that, there is also staff charge in the bottom right corner that you can see where our staff is kind of charging up. We can actually, okay, we can't actually maybe use our staff yet because we don't have enough charge, perhaps. Looks like it. Oh, is this it? Oh, so it looks like I can actually hold right click and charge my staff up faster, so that's pretty interesting. But you can also left click and it will, depending on which kind of staff you have, so this is specific to the lightning one, it will bring up this targeter and we can press that and it will call down some lightning bolts and it will repeatedly strike. It looked like a total of 4 times there. So the staffs don't cost any mana, but then we do also have 2 like skills, and the skills are like the more standard kind of spell casting where you spend mana to do damage. And let me just quickly show you. So I think you have to have the staff out. Let's have a quick look. Requires a staff. Okay, so the Fire Blast doesn't actually require a staff. And so we press Q to begin the cast, then so it charges, and then we can release a fireball, and this damage scales up as that bar increases, and when it's fully complete, it's a Pyroblast. And I don't know if this locks on. It kind of felt like maybe it did, or maybe it just travels really fast when that player killed us with it. It's interesting. I think there's definitely a lot less customizability on the classes, which I really love customizability in games. I love having like your own builds and things. So that's definitely a negative for me, but I guess not everyone feels like that. The fireball, you can kind of spam the Pyroblast fireball. However, you do of course lose out on mana, so eventually if you don't have mana potions or anything, you have no way to gain mana just by default from what I've seen, so you will eventually run out. Let's do a quick comparison of this. Intelligence and stamina instead of faith. What does intelligence give us? Elemental damage. Okay, interesting. So that will scale our staffs. That was staves damage. That will scale our Pyroblast, presumably Fire Blast. And then when we get closer to having Ignite and Enhanced Combustion. However, Faith, we get Healing bonus and Shielding bonus. Let's go ahead and take these, and let's actually equip these instead, as I think that will be pretty nice. And we also get Stamina, of course. Restores a small amount of mana each time Ignite is triggered. So it's going to be interesting. I think when you get to these breakpoints of levels and gain stats and things, your class is going to be much, much stronger than level 1. So it's not like in Dark and Darker where you get like a perk, and it's a bit of an upgrade, but it's not like a ridiculously big upgrade. I feel like I don't know what the max level is in this or anything, but assuming this continues for, you know, about 20 levels or perhaps more, you're going to be significantly, significantly stronger. Okay, I actually haven't seen these enemies before. There's 2 skeletons. Okay, that's a spearman or something. That's got pretty high range. Let's go ahead and use our staff. Try and put it where they're going to walk so we get some extra ticks off on them. Actually hit them with all of it. Perfect. Let's send a fireball as well. AoE there. Notice that did significantly less damage than the Pyroblast. The Pyroblast does really crazy damage. However, you have to charge it up for so long that it might not really be worth it. I've never actually used a health potion before, so let's actually go ahead and pop one of these and see how much this heals us for. Presumably it's going to be a heal over time, like in Dark and Darker. Yep, it is. Let's try and block that. Okay. So, you also, in this game, you take a bit of damage even when you block things. It's not like in Dark and Darker where you gain... there is no damage at all if you block something. It's completely fully blocked. For most things, anyway. Of course, not really the case with, like, fireballs and things. Looks like this health potion has actually healed us for quite a lot. We're pretty good on mana as well, so while we do have a mana potion, let's not worry about that. These zombies seem very, very slow, but I have a feeling that they might do quite a lot of damage if they actually do hit you. It's interesting that it weaves the attack in with your offhand. So, by that, of course, I mean the, like, third attack of this sword and shield seems to be slamming them with the... shield, so that's quite interesting. Okay, so we actually got a magic ring. So right now, both of our rings are strength rings, so let's go ahead and drop these and take an intelligence ring. So we'll do a little bit more damage there now with our elemental things. Strength, of course, increases our physical damage, and that's it. So that will make our melee stronger. It seems like, unless you bring mana potions, you are going to be using melee quite a lot as the Pyromancer. I haven't played the Pyromancer, so I can't say about that. However, the Pyromancer actually could be different due to... Okay, I think I prefer what we have right now. Notice these things have sell values, but they don't seem particularly high. There seems to be a significant jump in the loot values, such as these green things are selling for 40, 4-slot green things, while this 4-slot blue thing is selling for 300, which is just a crazy difference, right? I am glad that this game exists. I think having rivals to Dark and Darker should hopefully be good for the game in general, and hopefully strive to push it to try and be better than its competitors, of course. Will that work in practice? I don't know. We'll see. I was just making sure if we looted that. Let's go ahead and head out here. Will Dark and Darker remain the king? At least for now, I would say so. However, given a lot more time, possibly not. This game, while it is very Dark and Darker inspired, of course you can tell this isn't exactly Dark and Darker. Whether that's from the mechanics, from the classes, from how it plays out. I feel so much slower in this game than I do in Dark and Darker, which is crazy, because when I first started playing Dark and Darker, I felt very slow in that game compared to most other games. But if you can tell this movement, like, I feel like I'm barely moving. I thought perhaps this was just because I'm playing the Pyromancer, but now every class I've played so far has felt very, very slowly. Oh, sorry, very, very slow. Let's be a little bit careful here. Can't quite see things. Let's throw a torch down. You can, of course, throw torches like in Dark and Darker. That's the wrong weapon. Let's go ahead and try and... Let's actually use our staff here. The charge... Oh, we can hit ourselves with those things. Good to know. The staff does recharge, like, in its own time, so you don't have to worry too much about, using that for PvE. That seems kind of like the PvE ability for the spellcasters. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure. It looks kind of like our mana has regenerated to some extent, so maybe you do get a little bit. It's just very, very slow. There's a lot of things I don't know about this game. Let's actually check if that's an upgrade to our shield. It is not. They are... Oh, well, it gives max life instead of damage. So it looks like even white items seem to have different modifiers sometimes. So I suppose maybe it is worth checking whilst you're very low geared, just to see if you get perhaps a better modifier. But I think it's important to bring attention to this game. Let's actually check what staff that is. Searing staff. So this is the one that you actually start with by default. However, this will be a stronger one, as it's common instead of whatever the grey thing is. It's junk in Dark and Darker. I'm not sure if it's junk in this game. Of course, there are going to be many comparisons between this game and Dark and Darker. I think this game is definitely something to keep its eye on, especially perhaps if you prefer the more action-oriented style of this game. I suppose that's a bit subjective, but I feel like this game is a bit more action-y with how the abilities work. I think it's interesting how it works. It will be definitely interesting to progress through for the first time at the very least. Especially as, obviously, you'll be progressing through different classes if you want to. Right now, honestly, I kind of want to go and try out the Pyromancer to see how that goes, but of course, let's go through this game first. I don't want to leave and lose this gear. There is an auction house, so I guess immediately on that front, it's better than Dark and Darker. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get the, Something's attacking us? Yeah. We didn't quite get the, auction house for the patch number 3, the big January patch that we got in Dark and Darker. It should be coming soon, but, you know, soon TM, so we'll really see how that ends up being. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but... Alright, let's go ahead and pop another bandage. Let's go ahead and use this one where we've only got 1 in the stack. Not waste anything that we don't need to. In the top left is the minimap. You can also press M to open up a bigger map, which shows the zone. It also has some of these icons. You can't, unfortunately, hover over these and see what they are, so I don't really know what they are. I know this one here, this, like, axe, is kind of a mini-boss kind of thing. So we didn't clear these, obviously. Someone has been through here at some point. Finally glad we at least got a different spawn this time. I don't know whether your spawns are based on, you know, how fast you load in, and so maybe I was the fastest to load in the entire time, or maybe the slowest to load in because I'm recording or something. Not exactly sure. But it happens in Dark and Darker too, where it feels like you spawn in the same spawn like 8 times in a row sometimes. It's crazy. More so on the old Goblin Caves. Maybe that was just due to the lower player count, but... Right, interesting. So what are these? These are gloves versus 2 faith. Yep, let's go ahead and take those. Much, much better. We are kind of getting close now. We have 35 intelligence. We need 45 to get our ignite passive bonus thing. With some levels up, hopefully we'll get some more intelligence. I'm not sure which stats we will be getting, but... I guess that's the important thing about this game is, right now at least, you do need to actually kill the mobs to get the XP, because you really need to get those stat upgrades. I think if you enjoy Dark and Darker, I think this game is probably worth playing for a little bit at least. Just give it a go, see how it feels, see if you like it. The biggest downside that I think so far... Ooh, damn, plate. That would have been nice to take. Let's just go ahead and take that. How much does it sell for? 108. Okay, so it is like Dark and Darker. It seems like gear generally doesn't sell for... You're still going to be wanting to bring treasures out if you can, ideally. The thing is, the enemies feel much slower, and there's kind of like poise, as in like Dark Souls or something, and you can kind of hit them and stagger them and interrupt their attacks sometimes. Not always, though, and if you get hit, you definitely take a bunch of damage. It does look like you regenerate mana to some extent. Must just be very slow, and I must have not noticed it in my first run. The white treasures honestly don't even seem like they're worth picking up, because the interesting thing is, we'll check the shop after this, but when you get into the actual shops, those things sell for a lot. Or you need to spend like a lot of gold just to get like a few basic things, it seems like. So these things that sell for like 20 do not seem to be worth it. Okay, I actually haven't seen this before. There are little levers and stuff for doors like in Dark and Darker, so that's interesting. That's possibly something you could use for your advantage. Of course, there's no ranger class in this game. There's no hunter or ranger or anything. Perhaps the swordmaster is to try and fill that role. That's a class that I haven't played. It's just that and the priest. Oh, and the Pyromancer that I haven't played. Golden Beer Monk here, another 300 gold there, so those are very good to pick up. I'm not sure why there's such a crazy big spike between green and blue items. I'm not sure if I've said it yet, but this game, I believe, this playtest is running, I believe, for 2 weeks, and it started on the 2nd of February. So you've got a fair bit of time to get in here and try and progress through things. See if this game is going to be something worth your radar, of course, or see if this game is going to be worth putting on your radar. It's going to be, well, I'm not sure yet. Oh, also, these mobs are, like, a lot more horror-based, it seems like. Nothing like these in Dark and Darker, of course. So, it definitely feels like it has a more gothic kind of feel. Maybe Dark Souls-y a little bit, but not really. I guess Dark Souls-y is a bit of a stretch. It's just kind of through the castles and things, it seems more Dark Souls-y to me. Someone's been through here, and let's try and be careful. I'm not sure how the audio is in this game. There could also be like a rogue or something hiding in stealth. But at least in this game, we do actually have a tool for ourselves as the Pyromancer. If someone gets close to us, we can press E, and it does like a massive knockback and then slows them. And this knocks them back far, like it would easily knock them back, like back to those stairs. So you do actually have tools to create distance if someone gets on you. I don't know about any of the, power rankings between the classes or how powerful or weak things feel. All I know is right now, the Pyroblast feels like it hurts. However, against better players, when they get more experience and stuff, I imagine you're probably going to struggle to hit them with full Pyroblasts. Not from the fact that it's difficult to hit, but just from the fact that it takes so long to charge up. I feel like you'll probably end up just having to hit them with fireballs rather than Pyroblasts. So that's something to bear in mind. Okay, so that's kind of near where we started. There's a chest up here. Let's see if we can get anything good. So far, it looks like the loot feels pretty weak generally. Most of the time, you're just going to be... Okay, well, that is an upgrade at least. Small defense level, weapon damage upgrades. Definitely grab those. We'll take Murky Blood as well. I suppose maybe it's going to be a lot more efficient to craft healing things rather than to actually buy them. So maybe that's why the things are so expensive. They're trying to incentivize crafting your own. So that right there is a blue portal. I don't believe there are any red portals or anything right now, like there are in Dark and Darker. You just exit. Perhaps in the 3v3 map, I haven't played that. There's no rotation or anything like there is in Dark and Darker right now, so this is the solo map. The only map you'll be playing solo is this, unless you can queue solo into the 3-man map, which is entirely possible, I haven't tried. And there is, of course, the hard variation, which... Not sure how that works out. Again, let's drop that strength ring and pick up an intelligence ring. We're only sitting at level 2. You only seem to get your experience at the end of the game, and that's when you can see the stat increases and things that you've got. Let's go ahead and head out of here. Maybe we should kill these things down here to... Well, firstly, let's go and peek through here, see if there's any players. No. Quite a lot of mobs down there. Oh, there's actually another portal down there as well, so... Let me quickly demonstrate before we fight. Actually, no, it'll be fine. Let's go ahead and just attack these things. Quite big AoE on those things. Unfortunately, they're de-aggroed. The mob AI, I'm not gonna lie, not that I'm praising the mob AI in Dark and Darker, because it's a bit stupid sometimes, but the mob AI in this game so far feels much worse. Maybe it's because I've already played Dark and Darker, so I have some experience in these kind of games now. Meanwhile, Dark and Darker was my first. So I'm, immediately trying to space the mobs properly. But, yeah, they feel very dumb, very slow, very easy. Maybe even the, kind of mini-boss thing that I fought felt very easy. Although I think I did use some of my ranged on it, so maybe if you're a melee-only class, you're going to have more trouble. Let's go ahead and take out this giant rat. I'm not too worried about taking damage, as we're probably going to extract soon anyway. So, if we take a little bit, it's fine. These things die very, very quickly. I'm aware we're not in our base kit on this class, but... Okay, let's actually swap over to the fire staff. By default, if you try to swap something, it will try to automatically take the thing that you had equipped and save it within your inventory. So... You do actually have to drop things off. These portals take a little while to open, but they work pretty much exactly how they do in Dark and Darker. It opens up like a little, well, portal. And you can just walk into it and then you'll be out immediately. I just want to quickly demonstrate this fire staff if we get the chance to. Let's go ahead and use it on some of these mobs. Is that an actual mob? It is. These knights are pretty cool enemies. I kind of like the design. I guess it is kind of a bit generic, but I don't really have much of a problem with generic if I'm being honest. So let's go ahead and use that E on these and demonstrate that. Yeah, you see it? That guy, I don't know why. Maybe these have like different poise values or something, like in Dark Souls, but one of them of course got sent flying, one of them didn't really get sent flying at all. Let's go ahead and hit this guy with a Pyroblast. Okay, nice AoE as well. We got the one in the background. And you have this kind of like flamethrower flames spell from like Skyrim kind of thing. This guy's got to be close to death, yeah. This one's probably pretty close to death as well. Did unfortunately take a hit there, but let's not worry about it. Let's go ahead and loot these two, and then let's go ahead and extract from the portal. I just realized how many times I just said go ahead, but let's not worry about it. Another Searing Staff. Very, very slight upgrade, 0.3% damage. I guess we'll take the 0.3% damage. Let's go ahead and open this portal as well. Perhaps you get XP from opening these as well. Let's actually open it from this side. Oh, okay, let's kill this thing first. So the zone works basically exactly like it does in Dark and Darker, from what I've seen. If you're outside of that red zone on the map, you take a little bit of damage. I imagine those icons on the map are little bonuses. I think the scrolls that you find are resurrection scrolls, which I assume only matter if you're playing in teams. As I said, the axe was like a little mini-boss kind of thing that I fought once. I have no idea about any of the other kind of things, like this thing here in the middle-ish and this thing in the top left corner. Not 100% sure. Let's go ahead and pyroblast this guy, loot that chest to the side of him, and go ahead and extract and see what kind of things we can get with our money. And see how much XP we get and what bonuses we get for leveling up. I'll die from just a few more hits, but you see what I mean, like, these mobs, you don't even really have to respect them that much, compared to the ones in Dark and Darker. Got a helmet, but it's unfortunately a plate helmet, so we can't wear it, even though it doesn't really look like one. Your vision gets a little bit blurry, you start taking tick damage, but let's go ahead and extract, we'll be okay. So we got 160 experience, so we didn't actually get that much. We did level up to level 3, we gained 2 extra life. We didn't get any stat bonuses from leveling up. We got Bounty Hunter from 4 to 6. Still not sure what that means. There are also these daily quests on the left side that you'll notice, and these things give you money and items and things sometimes, so you can go ahead and collect all of these. Now, from our mail, okay, there were connection issues, so they're giving out free items by the look of it. Now, let's go ahead and look at the Alchemist. We have quite a few things now that maybe we can craft. So let's have a look at the healing potions. So this does still cost gold to craft, unfortunately. So it looks like you'd use 10 of these cloudy life essences and 20 murky bloods, and then you can make 10 healing potions. So that does, I think, save you a fair bit of gold compared to buying them. Like if we have a look, 3 healing potions costs 300 at the moment, which seems to be on sale for instead of 500. So that's actually like, you save a little bit, but not a huge amount, to be honest. I thought you'd be saving more than that. You can make other things here as well, bandages. These are where you make consumables. How do you get these? Enraged powders. Not sure where you get those from or how you get those. From Guardian Stones, perhaps those are from some of the bosses that you can encounter. Looks like here at the blacksmith you can actually interact with these gemstones and you can polish them. I'm not sure if we're actually able to put these in. Okay, we are. So this gives 1 stamina, so that's the health thing. Or let's try and polish this one, which instead gives holy resistance, because I feel like that's probably going to be less useful than stamina. Okay, so then it's got like a Diablo 4 system, where you can kind of change it to what you want, so we could have +1 to all elemental resistances or physical distances. Okay, and these were the daily login rewards that I was saying about. So currently I'm on day 3. It looks like it only goes up to a week. I'm not sure if this is specifically for the... because it's in the playtest, so it's the early access kind of thing. It looks like you get this kind of special banner thing if you log in for 7 days of the playtest. So I guess I'll try and get that. I'm definitely interested in this game. Let's quickly go to the merchant and sell our things. So you just sell by right-clicking over here. As you can see, most of these things are not really worth anything, so not a huge amount of money. You notice those mugs sold for 300, and that big blue thing that we had, which took up 4 slots, also sold for 300. So maybe some of the balancing is a bit off, or maybe there's a reason for that I don't know. Not really sure. Holy Damage Ruby. Let's go ahead and probably drop most of these things off in our stash. So this is trade, so I'm not really sure how this works. Perhaps we can... So there are things here you can buy which aren't actually usable yet. Unidentified items, identified items. Yeah, these things are expensive, but these gear pieces are crazy. Oh my god, these are 30,000 gold. Like, so I wonder if these are player things or not. The thing, I would assume they are, but it makes me think that they're not, as it says marketplace up here. And then there's an auction house. It looks like there's nothing up for auction right now at the very least. Yeah, let's buy this Stormcaller's staff, 850 gold. Claim it in my purchases. Acquire. Let's have a look now in our inventory. Press tab here. Stormcaller's staff. Looks like a tiny bit of a damage increase, so it's not too bad. And let's go ahead and store these things in our stash. Maybe have too many meds, so let's store some of these. One interesting thing to note is there are actually weird flasks, such as the smoke screen flask creates a smoke screen. So it slows people down. You could use this for kiting or perhaps to block vision as well. However, I'm not going to be sure if that's too useful, if there's not anything like a ranger. Perhaps against the Pyromancer and things, it would be useful though. We've almost got enough intelligence now for our ignite. So let's go ahead and do one more game. Just try and demonstrate. Hopefully we can get into a bit of PvP in this one. Hopefully without just dying to a rogue anyway. Okay, we are in. So, if you want to play this game, I would recommend just giving it a go if you think you might be interested, especially if you play Dark and Darker, or if you can't buy Dark and Darker, as you can't afford it or whatever. This game's currently free. I'm not sure if it will be free after it actually releases. I thought Greed is Good was going to be free after it actually released, so I was going to do some videos on that as like a nice free to play option. However, I believe Greed is Good is completely dead and seems to be abandoned and seems like a scam. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like it at the very least. So there seems to be werewolves and stuff out here, so that's interesting. Let's see if we can get any upgrades. Right now looking like not. We found some more meds, that might be nice. Let's try out our new staff. This thing definitely looks cool. How does it work? Is it the exact same? Okay, it seems to be the exact same as the other one, so I guess it's just a higher tier of the Stormcaller staff, or the lightning staff, whatever it's called. I feel like this werewolf might be pretty scary, so let's try and be careful. Oh. Okay, there's a player. So we used our knockback there. Oh, damn, we got taken down. He's actually on 0% health, so I don't actually know how he's alive. Let's try and quickly click through to him. So the spawns are... Yeah, no, so his health doesn't even exist. I don't know how this guy's alive. I'm not sure if that's an ability or if it's just some rounding thing and he's at like 0.5 health. Very unfortunate. I should have... there's probably a million things I could have done there. I should have used some potions. The spawns are insanely close, though. Very, very close. Come on, I don't even get time to like... I was in my spawn, but yeah, either way, it was kind of close. This game, if you want to try it out, I'll leave the link in the description. It's on Steam. It's free right now as it's in early access. It's playtest. Will it be releasing soon? I don't know, but it's definitely something to take note of. And of course, this game's been kind of doing rounds in the Dark and Darker community as like maybe a possible competitor when there hasn't really been any, at least after Greed is Good kind of failed. It looks like there's a bunch more coming, but are they going to be any good? This thing, I do think it has some of its own unique ideas. It's worth keeping an eye out for if you're looking for something, or perhaps if you enjoy Dark and Darker, but there's just something that you don't quite enjoy, a certain mechanic, something like that. Check it out. Okay, thanks guys. It's been a weird video, I know, but I appreciate you being here with me. If you've watched this far, I appreciate likes if you've enjoyed the video. If you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate that. The guy who killed us died to... Oh, another player actually with a crossbow or something. So I'm not sure what can even use the crossbow. I guess it's some kind of fighter. But anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate likes if you enjoyed the video. If you're not already subscribed, consider it if you'd like to see more videos like this. Primarily going to be on Dark and Darker, but perhaps I'll do some more Dungeonborne as well. Depends how this video does. Thank you, guys. I'll see you in the next one.